Good evening to all of you, and welcome to the 30th Leadership Levers lecture by Dr. Kiran Bedi. And thank you all for joining us for this historical session. And it is historical for two reasons. Firstly, for having Dr. Kiran Bedi delivering her leadership lecture on a Sunday evening, which is only and solely for the love of meeting with all of you today evening. And secondly, and other exciting reason is to have Anish Sri Krishna, the president and CEO of TimesPro, who would be doing the honors of introducing Dr. Kiran Bedi and today evening's speaker for this leadership section. And before that, let me have the pleasure of introducing Mr. Anish Sri Krishna. Anish Sri Krishna is the president and CEO of TimesPro, and also he is an MBA graduate from Asian Institute of Management, Manila. And also he's the member governing body at Bennett University. And since the time he has taken over the CEO of TimesPro in 2015, and since then he has led the rapid growth and scaling of the company in higher education and especially higher education EdTech division. And let me have the pleasure of inviting Anish Sri Krishna to introduce Dr. Kiran Bedi. Over to you, Anish.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dr. Bedi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute honor when Dr. Chaudhary told me that you are going to grace our Leadership Levers lecture. I insisted that I should have the honor of introducing you. Thank you so much once again, ma'am, for giving us this honor, for being with us today. For someone who has seen your career from very early days as the toughest cop in Delhi and onwards in all of your illustrious subsequent political life. It is just amazing to be able to share the same screen space with you. I wish this could have been physical, but I understand that we have another opportunity to do that when you visit all of us at TimesPro in our Mumbai office. So wonderful to be with you, ma'am, and thank you so much. It's an honor, as I said, to be able to introduce your illustrious career. I'm sure every participant in this session today is going to go back inspired and also filled with a sense of purpose after this wonderful lecture that we're going to hear from you. Now, while there is so much to talk about Dr. Bedi's illustrious career, I would like to talk about some exemplary milestones that has really struck me and has been in the public eye. Each one of these milestones has made her endearing to scores of Indians, and she has inspired Indians across 3 different generations, and I'm sure many more generations to come as well. As everyone knows, Dr. Bedi is the first woman in India to have joined the officer ranks of the Indian Police Service as early as 1972. He went on to serve the nation in different capacities with an exemplary commitment to the law of the land. We have seen over time that countries that have the best economic growth are also those that have good governance. But this good governance usually comes from great leadership qualities exemplified by the leaders that we produce. These are the kind of principles that Dr. Bedi's life has always espoused, and we have been privileged to have seen and experienced many of these wonderful accomplishments of Dr. Bedi. She was the first woman internationally appointed to the UN as civilian police advisor to the Secretary General in peacekeeping operations. She is the recipient of the Gallantry Award as well as the Raman Magsaysay Award for Government Service in 1994, which has often been called as the Asian Nobel Award. She has been voted as the most admired woman in India multiple times over. She has been an Asian tennis champion and holds a postdoctoral degree from IIT Delhi. She has also authored several books. I am privileged today to hold up a copy of her latest book, which is Fearless Governance, penned by her while serving as the 24th Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry. I am honored, ma'am, to have received from you an autographed copy of this book. And I have read through it with great fascination. And I've been enamored by your use of language, the anecdotes that are there in this book, the way you have taken us through your journey in public life. It has been absolutely fascinating. Dr. Chaudhary, have we lost ma'am?
No, I'm with you.
She's there.
Okay, great.
With you.
So as I was saying, this book has been a fascinating read. And one of the primary reasons for this is it demonstrates how a person in a constitutional position can look to make that position more citizen friendly and be able to further the cause of the greater good. Now, it's very often that we see people in constitutional positions, but it's very rare that we see them being so visible and being able to convert that position for issues which are in the interest of the greater good. The book has several interesting anecdotes, and it's a must read for anyone who's aspiring to bring best practices in governance to every other sphere of human endeavor, whether it is in corporate organizations, startups, family businesses, NGOs, sports, and of course, politics. The second and very pleasant revelation for me has been to see what we call the subordination of individual interest to the general interest. This is one of the 14 principles of management as espoused by Henry Fayol. And Dr. Bedi's book and her life is an absolute manifestation of this principle. And her illustrious career is truly a personification of everything that one would try to look for in a leader. The latest book was released by Mrs. Indra Nui and by Professor Debashish Chatterjee of IIM Kozhikode. It has been described as a blueprint for good governance, cutting across leadership qualities both in the private and public sector. It's an easy read with crisp language and a unique writing style of Dr. Bedi. The content is very engaging, and I personally took away a large number of very deep insights as I progressed through the book. One thing that stood out for me was Dr. Bedi's humility as a public servant. No matter how powerful the post she had, her humility shone through, and this is the quality for me that really I will take away from my reading of her book. And I think this is also a quality which is worthy of emulation by all of us here today who are aspiring to be leaders or are already leaders in any walk of life. I'm once again grateful that we can recognize Kiranji's life today and hear about her experiences and her career, which will demonstrate the efficacy of leadership in public office in a participative and democratic leadership style. Let me also take this moment to thank Dr. Bedi for her wonderful gesture to share a soft copy of her latest book, Fearless Governance, with all of you, which will be hosted on the LMS today, along with today's recording. Thank you once again, ma'am. And we look forward to your continued counsel and cherished association in all the wonderful years to come. I once again look forward to hosting you at TimesPro's Mumbai office, along with all our staff and our students and all our stakeholders. Thank you so much once again for this wonderful honor. Thank you so much. I can't wait to hear you, ma'am. Dr. Chaudhary, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Anish. Absolute pleasure having both of you on the same screen. And before I invite Dr. Kiran Bedi, I don't know how many of you have seen today's her LinkedIn post, and she has written a beautiful post on the I think the first part of our lecture topic, and that is legacy, and where she said very categorically, and it's a wonderful quote, and where she said the legacy is not what you leave for people, but what you leave in people. That's amazing thought, ma'am. With that, let me have the pleasure of inviting you and inviting the floor and for your lecture, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. I think amazing review which your CEO has given to me. It was awaiting to come. I was waiting to one day happen, Mr. Sri Krishna. Thank you so much. Because this kind of review had not happened yet. It was written. Indra Nui said it. Professor Chatterjee said it, but coming from your kind of background in your organization, I think means a lot to me. So therefore, let me say, thank you, Dr. Nagendra Chaudhary, for making this happen. You made this event happen. You and your team with Nandita and Manavi, how we've stayed connected over months together. months together post-COVID to make this event happen.
Pleasure, ma'am. Absolute pleasure.
I also want to thank you for allowing changes to happen in the dates, which happen so often. I think you were so flexible. Mr. Anish Sri Krishna talked about my humility. I think I would say thank you for your flexibility and adaptability. You kept looking at, because the kind of travels which kept coming my way, I thought what is urgent, what is important, and what is immediate. So I think thank you so much once again for making it happen. Thank you for reading my book, Mr. Sri Krishna. Normally, people who come up on the book don't get to read the book or see the book intensively. But thank you for you having dived into the book so much. I can expect Dr. Chaudhary to dive into the book as his background, academic background of ISB and Harvard's, etc. But you done it as a Times group, Times of India group of TSW. But thank you so much for what you've done. Been thinking about it, and I was in Puducherry till yesterday. That is where it came around, and believe me, what an experience it was. And that's why I wrote that clip of legacy, because that's what I felt, what I had left inside, not what I had given to them, not what I had given to the people of Puducherry. What I gave to them was cleanliness. I gave them rule of law. I gave them back the finances which belonged to them. I gave them a Raj Nivas which belonged to the people. I connected them with the civil servants which they were supposed to connect. Right? I gave them skills. I upskilled them. That's what I gave to them. But I did not know what I'd left inside. Till yesterday when I was in Puducherry, walking the beach. And I went there about a year and 4 months after. I didn't go before. I could not go before. I wanted a lot of things to settle down. Also the book to have reached the shores. But when I sent out a little message that I'm here to meet my near and dear ones, I never said where I'm coming. When I went to Puducherry, I never informed anybody, who am I meeting? Where am I meeting? Because I'd worked so closely with them for nearly 5 years. So I'm coming to this leadership issue that's the reason I put up this clip. What I did not know what I was leaving inside as a leader in them. But what I left inside in them emerged yesterday when we were walking the beach together. Each one wanted a hug. Each wanted a warm hug. And as was my need. What they had left inside me, I had also left inside them. And what did I leave inside them was love, care, respect, regards, memories, gratitude, loyalty, trust, humanity, appreciation, warm regards. It was me and them. And what connected with every hug of mine, and I did 2 walks. I did an evening walk and I did a morning walk without saying anything much. But people through my WhatsApp groups kept asking me, what time are you? And believe me, I didn't invite them at the Raj Nivas at all. I had no right to call anybody to Raj Nivas because I was myself a guest. A guest cannot invite guests to another place. So I said, you want to meet me? Come. So the first test as you read about leadership is what you leave inside. And for me, it was a revelation of what I'd left inside. And I can't thank it enough. And I know every time I would go back, this inside what had been left sown. And to be good, to be fair, it was a Swachhta worker to a journalist. It was a Swachhta worker who gave me a hug and a journalist who gave me a hug. Or a French citizen who's living in France and was walking the beach. He had not met me at Raj Nivas. But what he had taken away, and he said, thank you for having done to Puducherry what you did. And I said, how do you know? He says, I've been coming in and out to Puducherry. I was feeling that, thank you, we have a guardian here. So friends, leadership is about guardianship as well. But I did not read a book before I start to work in Puducherry. I did not read a manual of what it is to be a lieutenant governor. All I did was to read the law. What were my legal responsibilities? Why? Because that was a administrator's responsibility to go by the law. But all I did in the beginning as a leader was, and that's the important thing, very important for any leadership in any work, is to find the why of everywhere. The why. Why am I here? Why is my prime minister posting me today? While the prime minister, you must have read in the opening chapter, Mr. Sri Krishna, where the prime minister told me, Kiran ji, wahan jaakar paise ka dhyan rakhna. In English, it was, go and take care of finances there. I did not know. I wasn't studying Puducherry while I was in the Delhiite. But when he told me paise ka dhyan rakhna, which obviously he knew, who knows better than he as a leader of the country, is what is not going right with finances in Puducherry. I did not, and Puducherry does not make news in national papers in Delhi. Puducherry is such an outlying area that media stops at Tamil Nadu. It stops on the shores. No van would come, or no, you see, those days, the van. Now, of course, you have the webinar open. But no van, no TV van came across beyond Chennai. So Puducherry was like an outlying small little corner, made no difference to the government in power, only one member parliament. Only one member parliament. How does it matter? One MP. It doesn't matter one bit. You can do without it. So, but it was a union territory. But he said, paise ka dhyan rakhna. It was union territory all the time. Why paise ka dhyan rakhna? Because this outlying area was not getting audited or was not acting on the audit paragraphs of what was going wrong. So that's what it is. So I had the why. But the why was not only, I'm here only to look at the finances. The why was, how do people in Puducherry feel they have somebody of their own sitting in Rajdevas and not far from them? So it's not a question of only humility. It was being real. And I knew one day from day one that I'm here for some time, a limited time. Limited time. We all have limited times. And I told my friends, nothing belongs to me here. Everything needs good protection and nurturance and growth and evolution. So let's spend every day into Puducherry to make it a better place to live in. For after we leave, they feel, thank you, somebody came and looked after us well. Finances, of course, got looked after. There's no doubt about it. And Mr. Sri Krishna, you must have read those chapters where, because of the finances, we had to go back to the Honorable High Court, Honorable Supreme Court every time. The key was, the underlining was, how do we spend valuable government resources? I was against freebies, you're right, which is not budgeted. You budget, I'm okay. You budget what you want to gift, please budget, take it. But if you don't budget, and at the drop of a hat, you're not raising revenues, and you're diverting road money, PWD money, into planned funds, into quickly pleasing people, which I came in the way. At that time, the freebies word was not being talked about. Revriyas were not being talked about. But I told the Honorable Chief Minister at that time, you budget, you will get it. You don't budget, I will not approve a diversion of funds. That was what was happening, and probably happening across. You budget and you say, how will you raise this money? You get it. But you can't take away people's hardware money, infrastructure money, which is long-term, because this is consumption. When you're talking about consumption, here I'm talking investment and infrastructure, which was budgeted and passed by the Assembly. You can't just change budgets without the Assembly also approving it. But unfortunately, sometimes the Assembly, because of the vote power or the vote banks, also all join hands to, they don't have the courage to say no. This is what it led to. And what my experience in Puducherry yesterday was exactly what I said. Dr. Nagendra, thank you for picking up that morning nutrition of mine on legacy. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now, what I did, what the leadership emerged was the connecting with the people was not a sudden evolution, a sudden awareness of discovery as Lieutenant Governor. All the experiences of my policing, innovation, solutions, problem solving, leading from the front. That's how what got the Gallantry Award, when police officers disappeared and left me all alone to fight the rioters with naked swords in their hand, I realized was left alone because of the fear of naked swords. Thanks to the media was on the Rajpath at that time, and media kept clicking. Raghu Rai and the team kept clicking while I was fighting the swords. And the next day, when my police commissioner saw this, I did not run away. I fought them back, not knowing that they could poke me any number of times. But I think they were scared of poking a woman. I think that's where my gender was a shield to me. How do these people with naked swords poke a woman? And who only had one thing, saying, I will not let you violate and go to a samagam, which had no arms and which would have probably led to an open warfare between people who had no weapons and these people who had naked swords and lots of other stuff. So I think this is where, thanks to the media, that brought me the Gallantry Award. Let me quickly show you only a little rise up, and I'll explain to you the Q&A. Having introduced who I am, my beliefs, my work, my why of any purpose, whether it was prisons work, whether it was traffic police, whether it was crime prevention, whether it was narcotics, always, never the why is given to you. The why is never given in our posting orders, that this is your job profile. In your private sector, you give a job profile to everybody and you give the outcomes expected. And you also share with them the processes. Here, you neither know the processes, nor are you given the outcomes. You are left to yourself. You can get away with little, you can do plenty as you want. The risk is yours. In fact, safer for the bureaucrats now sometimes is becoming to do very little. Because the more they do, the more asked or questioned sometimes they feel that they will be annoying. In my case, it was very simple. I'm here for the maximum, come what may. It's not, because that's the needs of the hour. Let me quickly run through a presentation for you, and we'll come to a lot of discussion of the Q&A. I'm sharing the screen. Please ask questions as much as you want after. I'm leaving enough time to discussions. Go ahead.
You might like to know, why are we swearing in on Sunday? Why am I taking away your Sunday?
Why?
It is my mother's day. In 1999, she left us in physical body, but has never left us in spirit. She always said, work is worship. To serve the most beautiful part of India, I'm here to give it all I have. All I have, all the energy I have, I'm here to give it. We all visualize a prosperous Puducherry. That's my mantra, prosperous Puducherry. And we shall deliver this responsibility through 3 principal mantras, and I shared some of them with the expected leader. The first one being trust. This would mean working with integrity in all forms, financial, administrative, and intention. The second mantra, my friends, is empowerment. This means enabling and enhancing optimum utilization of resources while addressing concerns. It also means promoting self-reliance through training, mentoring, and more. My third mantra, my friends, and the final mantra is accountability. Not just to the people, but also to yourself. It means implementing and promoting respect for law. Together, these mantras form an acronym called T. T for trust, E for empowerment, and A for accountability. Friends, you will see more of us in the field and fully accessible, implementing, connecting, and serving to make our country proud and make Puducherry a favorite destination. Our mantra now is prosperous Puducherry. And when it's prosperous, it is for all, in every possible way, including the non-resident Indians living outside. We wait for them to come home and make investments here. Thank you very much. And Jai Hind.
This is how I began, regularly daily coordination. This is my key team, where this was the very important aspect of any leadership is how well, effectively can you coordinate. how effectively you feed yourself, directly, indirectly, to see what are the field challenges, what's hurting, what are the eyesores of a place or of administration. So seeking out field challenges. Morning weekend rounds is very critical. Have a look at this. Yeah. The key is very important is how do you communicate. Any leader, the better the communication content, the greater the confidence building and trust and empowerment and accountability, which I gave the mantra, trusting. Better you communicate, the more trust you create, more credibility you create, more communication you create. The more you communicate. This is my communication team. Now, regular brainstorming is so critical, where you pick up others' brains. Key to Puducherry was its water challenges. It was water dry. If you got the book, I hope you're getting it, because my screen is showing my internet a little unstable. I hope you're getting it right. I think you must read the water-rich Puducherry chapter in the book. How a dry Puducherry was left water-rich through CSR, bringing in all the water-guzzling pharmaceuticals, the oxygen plants, etc., to take up irrigation canal and clean it up and desilt at their own cost. It was 7 meters below dry. I left it 7 meters high by the time I went, the water table I'm talking about. You are. This is Kiran. My God. No, I can't say that.
No, we can just see what
Why doesn't PWD use some machinery for this?
Yeah, that is, I think.
And now you need a tender. Right. Why have you not? Why did you not do? And that's it, because there's no money and the contract.
Earlier, the contractor has done it in last 2 years back, madam. He is not able to.
So because your past money has not been paid.
This is absolutely choked. What water? It has to overflow the road. Now let's take a group decision. Of the group decision, if this is the best decision we are taking, is that this cost by machine, this first of all, human hand is not the right thing. It's not safe. So keeping in mind the human life and safety, we are not going to use Manrega. We will use JCB. And the contractors offering this, and he's saying 5.5 lakhs, we will give him 6 lakhs, but get the work done. Okay. So we will arrange it for you. You will get this money clear. This is not money from PWD or Manrega. This is coming from raised funds. Of the existing channel will be continued to be looked after for the Puducherry. You may be standing on Tamil Nadu land, but the channel is out. Here is one more channel. You see it clean? Absolutely clean. I think for the first time ever, people of this area see it. This too has happened by facilitation. Raj Nivas in the Public Works Department worked as a facilitator between the donor and the contractor. Donor is directly paying the contractor and you get a clear channel. Not a penny spent by the government. No money dealt with. Only the donor and the contractor. Finished. We have only worked as a facilitator, connecting the donor with the contractor. And the contractor has done a work. And now the contractor will be paid immediately.
These are the school visits. If every Secretary Education in India makes it a point to visit schools in the mornings, schools will never be in this position. All such constant celebrations and recognitions is part of very important leadership and the documentation. Everything's documented. That's why you could get to see the book. The book is based on authentic documentation. And the final.
Let me be honest, I looked at this book as an example of CEOship in action, leadership in action. And basically what Kiran is saying is whether you run a company or whether you run a union territory or a state or a country, there are some universal principles. Work for the people, put them before you, be visible, make sure that you have accountability, make sure that you are resilient, make sure that you're honest. There's some universal principles that Kiran articulates throughout her entire book. because this book provides a beautiful blueprint of decentralized governance given to a very, very honest, ethical, caring leader can actually make a difference.
This event in the book, and so this is such a great opportunity for us to be able to unveil it. And who else but Kiranji can produce something of this kind with visual evidence that this is not theory, this is hard not. And it was a lion's cry for fearless governance, and we knew that we are encountering something new in India, because nobody had heard of a woman cop in the first place, and that too writing a book and daring you from bookstores across all stations. So we grew up with the images of a fearless cop, unafraid to take on the establishment. That was the iconic imprint. In fact, I was witness to what she does in Raj Nivas and what she did going out in the field, meeting people. And you realize that, the fundamentals of governance and leadership.
Back to you. Back to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Can we start with the question, the Q&A, ma'am?
Please do.
Very good. I think we have very many, but then let's see how best we can take as many questions as possible, ma'am. And let me start with the first question. And this is from Dr. Kaveri Purandar. And her question is, Jai Hind, madam, I am Dr. Kaveri. When our Honorable Prime Minister said, go and take care of the finances of Puducherry, how did you turn his immense trust on you into your driving force during all the challenges you faced over change you faced, and how did you overcome successfully? Because otherwise, this kind of trust can also put anyone under pressure. With love and regards and respect, Dr. Kaveri. Thank you, Dr. Kaveri.
Dr. Kaveri, take up these as opportunities. For me, it was a trust reposed in me and my probably capacity and capability that I could deliver. I could deliver. So I lived up to the trust, but it was not a stress, because every file has a financial implication in administration when you are in governance. And if you look at the file properly and listen to everybody and then take a conscious decision, you can go right. You can go right. Yes, it will bring you into conflict, but what will survive is what is righteous, what is correct, what is principled. And that's what, therefore, I urge you, Dr. Kaveri, if you're looking for all the methodology, which I've explained through the presentation, visually, substantiating the book completely as Mr. Sri Krishna mentioned, please read it. It will really help you. You will be a joy at work. I showed you the joy at work. Does it show any stress in any one of my presentation? Not a single slide where we are saying, hey, where the hell are we? We'll say where the joy we are. So go ahead, please read the book, as Dr. Chaudhary will share with you the soft copy as well. Take it and read it. And I'm open for any question answer through my emails as well. I answer all my emails myself.
Absolutely. This is the question from Rachana Wadala, ma'am, and her question is, respected ma'am, you are in a profession which is highly male dominated. You would have seen the worst in the police service as well as in politics. And she has got 5 questions for you, ma'am. What did you do to stand out so that people noticed you? What were the risks involved? What kind of crucial decisions you had to take considering all the aspects? And fourthly, what is your key mantra to deal with the failure? And lastly, when you were asked to take care of the finances, how did you strategize your approach? So long list of questions, ma'am.
Doctor, the questions have come before the presentation was made. Had the questions come after the presentation, the questions would have been different, because many of these questions have got answered in the presentation itself, how I did it. The how is very simple. You have to have a why. You must ask yourself, why am I here? Why am I taking up what I'm doing? And if you have linked with the higher purpose, and to take the fear away from yourself and from your followers and from your team members, and stand up there as a leader, as a protector. Unless you do that, you will be scared yourself. You'll be hesitant. You'll not win the trust. Somebody's asked me, you asked me, how did I make myself known? I just did the work, as you've seen. I was making field visits on a regular basis. You see, the problem is the civil servants are very desk chair oriented. If you say, I was never much chair oriented. I divided my day into field and the chair. And even in the chair, I was standing in meeting open house. So if the more on your feet you are, the more trust you repose, the more feedback you get, the more people connect you get, and the more you know what more to do. That's the way. And finances also get taken care of. So please read the book again. Please read the book. The book is given to you free on soft copy. I'm not saying buy my book. I'm saying read the book.
Absolutely. The same thing is going to be hosted in the LMS, ma'am, and I'm sure immediately after this session, like Anish mentioned.
But remember, trust is never demanded. Trust is earned. Every bit of what you do, every gesture that you make as a leader, every word that you utter is reaffirming your leadership and also increasing your trust or putting you under a doubt. So you as a leader live in a glass house. Remember, as leaders, we all some of us make mistakes and are found with and are raided. Why? They forget that as a leader, they are in an absolute glass house. So one day the glass will get smashed.
This is a question from Mr. Kumar Chemalakonda, ma'am, and his question is, hello, ma'am. What are the challenges you have come across during your shift of your roles from a cop to lieutenant governor? Both roles are on different ends in a government, governing to governance. What is the suggestion for corporate warriors like us? Thank you, Mr. Kumar.
There is no difference. The habit, the work style, the personal discipline, the integrity is a common thread in all what you do. Whether you wear it in you do it in uniform, or you sit on that tall chair, which is oversized chair for me. Whether you sit in an oversized chair, it doesn't matter. Your integrity travels with you. Your sense of purpose travels with you. Love for people travels with you. The love for giving travels with you. It all goes you as a person. You are a person as a lieutenant governor. You are a person as a director general of police. You may wear a uniform and you may not. You are a person before you become a leader, and you remain a person even inside the leader. Leader is only a part of you. Leader is not the whole of you. Position is a part of you. It's not the whole of you. It's a person which is the whole, not the leader, not the position. It's a person.
Thank you, ma'am. And here is a question from Mr. Aswin Gandhi Ben. And his question is, dear ma'am, I'm feeling extremely happy and highly blessed to have this session with you. My question to you is, you're a visionary and highly talented person. How do you work with a small-minded or close-minded people when you come across in your team, and if they're not equal to have those similar thoughts of you? Thank you, Ashwin.
Is being patient. Be patient and constantly not give up on mentoring, and also show them the way, go the way, and lead the way. So open up, because they are limited experiences. They've got small minds because of limited experience. Help them gain a bigger experience and taste it. And I noticed the small-minded people, they actually grew in their own feet in themselves. So be patient. Show them the way. Don't condemn them. Don't criticize them. Handhold them, groom them, upskill them, take them along. Recognize them for the effort they make, not the outcome they give you. For the efforts, every small effort, recognize it. If you saw a slide where people were being recognized for every little effort they made, it was grooming them. It was constabulary to very higher positions.
Absolutely. And this is the question from Mr. Ajit Lagu, ma'am. And his question is, respected ma'am, heard your stories of courage and supreme leadership since childhood. Hats off to you for inspiring all of us for years. Please give some insights or tips how to handle bureaucracy in our existing leadership or corporate roles. We work with extreme passion, and bureaucracy is one avoidable avoidable hurdle, quote unquote, ma'am. But how? Thank you, Ajit.
You don't deal with bureaucracy. Bureaucracy deals with you. Bureaucracy is very overpowering. The selected from the UPSC is on numbers, the numericals. Very little of attitude is known. They reveal themselves only when they are in the position of power. And I tell you, each officer is literally like a lottery for the government. Literally like a lottery. Their integrity also is literally like a lottery, because they don't get judged on integrity of theirs and their families. when they're taking an examination. It's a lottery. Therefore, I think our system cannot judge them of when their temptation levels.
Right.
So it's a lottery. Therefore, it's a person who's grown. Therefore, the way to deal with them is moment to judge the character of the person. If he or she is worth it, give them the due respect and connect with them. If they are not, then don't deal with them alone. Go to them as a group, so that they are not dealing with you on one-on-one and they overpower you. Go as a group, go as an association, go as an organized body, and then talk to them as an organized body and give them certain things in writing, because writing, it is what matters for them. So then when you're dealing with a difficult bureaucrat, the art of dealing with them is go in an organized way and leave a note of paper signed in what you want to them, because that paper on record, you can even email them, is in the file. So therefore, your matter cannot be ignored. So deal with them secretarially as well, but also publicly, also in an organized way. But if somebody is trustworthy, you don't have to have this issue. So moment you judge that this bureaucrat is needing some kind of exposure pressure, or is little wary of what you ask them, go in an organized way.
Thank you, ma'am. This is a question from Mr. Vijay Babu, and his question is: greetings, ma'am. You're a great leader and good inspiration. No words to describe your leadership qualities. However, I would like to know which of the following leadership roles was a bit challenging for you. Firstly, as a police officer, and secondly, as a governor, and why? Thank you, Vijay.
As a police officer, it was much easier because it was so focused and it was hierarchical and rank and file. Whereas in administration, it was very wide. It was as wide as a state could be, and also with varied kind of officers. That you had also many vested interests. You had the elected political interests, and you also have the appointed egos who probably were habituated to a lot of wealth and privileges and power. And suddenly you had to start making them work and walk with you with all the dirty places which they probably would have avoided in the first place. So I think you have to lead the way. You have to get on to changing the mindset by showing them the way, talking to them, feeling them. And I did a lot of one-on-one. One of the slides in the presentation, please share this the presentation also with the participants, sure. Dr. Yeah. Chaudhary. Yeah. There is a slide in which there is a 101. I regularly did a 101 with my officers regularly, where I connected with them person to person, not LG to secretary, not LG to a director general. It was a person to person. It was Kiran Bedi with person so-and-so. So it was chatting with them as friends, taking that fear from out or hesitation out and share with them. And not only share with them who they are, but even their family. How, if I could be of any assistance to the family, how's their family doing? Because a happy family also sends a happy professional to the office. I was very keen what kind of family support they had, whether they had any disability child. So if one could, or they had problems of alcoholism anywhere, or they had unemployment, or they needed upskilling. I was on regular one-on-one. I always would advocate leadership to find the time to explore the one-on-one with their colleagues, with their particularly the juniors. Is know them. It's like knowing the people you're working with, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing your challenges, and knowing your threats. That's where you get to know when you do one-on-ones. And also constantly, regularly do SWOT analysis. Regularly make people do SWOT and see it for themselves. Make them aware. What could they be? Where, and they are truthful. When they're one-on-one and you're not minuting it, you don't minute the meeting. Don't minute the meeting. Don't embarrass them. Don't scare them. Just do one-on-one and say, take the paper back. I'm keeping no record. It's making them reflect for themselves.
Absolutely. This is a question from Mr. Amol Nigam, ma'am, and his thoughts are lots of thoughts, theories being given for leadership from people in middle management prospects where the freedom to act or decide to take an action. It isn't very clear or high at times. How do you suggest to be a still effective leader without having less authority? Thank you, Amol. Very interesting one.
Is that how do you deal with them if you don't have authority?
Authority. Yeah.
How do you deal with either are
How
you at the
become-
top or
how
are
do
you
you-
part of the middle management?
How do you become a leader without having authority, ma'am?
Oh, just look, don't look for authority. Look for the content of your work. Focus on your work and give it your best. Give it your best. You will be starting to influence people. And when you start influencing people, you automatically have followers. And that's when you are a leader.
Absolutely.
You're not a leader without followers. But followers don't follow you unless there's something interesting in you. What is it that is, if you don't have power, you can have influence. You can be a mentor. You can be a role model. You can be a friend. You can be a trainer.
I think this pertains to all that you have been exhibiting till now, or all your years, ma'am, and also especially for today, and that you on Sunday evening. And this is the question from Mrs. Dinesh Singh. And his question is, ma'am, how do you maintain this high energy to all these great works?
How do you add high energy?
How do you maintain high energy through all these works?
I think that's by conscious personal discipline. You wake up early, you do your regular yoga, you do your regular workout, you do your regular inspirational reading, you get to some writing. I think me time, personal time, quiet time, energy time is generated when you are just to yourself, but you regularly do yoga practice. Yoga can be as the body needs, something what is needed as a wholesome. You only know every person's body needs are very uniquely different. But yoga, certain asanas of yoga connect you holistically and also certain parts of the body. Practice those yoga. So start your day suddenly, not jump out of office, have out of the bed, have a cup of coffee and move out. No, get up, spend time to yourself, be with yourself, meditate a little, be silent, go for a walk, go into the nature. I think that's important. That 1.5 hours before you start your day for the work is very, very important. Give yourself at least 1.5 hours in the morning. You are generating energy for the whole day. Don't start your day only with a cup of coffee and tea and off you go and have your breakfast and run. Don't run out to work. Settle down. Give yourself time. Think. Maybe read the newspaper a little. But at the moment, before you get onto the newspaper writing, give yourself yoga time, me time, personal time, think time, reflection time. Because when you are into yourself, I did a lot of energy time when this is a chapter also, how I generated energy. It's a part of the book.
Absolutely. And now this is a question from Ms. Rana Roy. And his question is, dear ma'am, how important is it to sit on the position of authority to bring the changes? For example, if being a common man, if I want to do something for my society, don't you feel that I would be facing lots of challenges?
Yes, if you're alone, like for instance, if you're just a simple citizen and a resident, you will be only 1-1. But if you become an effective RWA, effective resident welfare association, if you become an effective neighborhood, or you become a senior citizen group, or you become a women's group, or you become a professional group, and then deal with it, it's better. So strengthen yourself, empower yourself by community collaboration.
And this is the question from Mr. Swatantra Kulkarni. And his question is, was there any instance where when you face some challenges in the administration that you think would have been solved more easily by data analysis or data science? Ma'am, let me call, I think he's from data science program, by the way, and therefore he wants to pick up your brain on, were you able to solve most of your programs either by intuition or some analysis, or was there any conscious effort to use the data analysis?
Well, I told you by my publications, I have everything on data. In fact, I was a regular analyst. The feedback grievance redressal system chapter is very useful for you from the data point of view. How I analyzed my data as the grievance redressal came in. And I could identify areas which needed greater attention. And my morning rounds and cycle rounds were for those areas. So analysis was from all the reports which are coming to the control room, all the grievance redressal coming, and I could narrow down those. So I think it's important that you cluster them as the feedback comes in, whether a grievance came through open house or it came through email or it came through WhatsApp, or it came through control room phones. Start plotting them. And when we were plotting them, oh, look, data analysis was being a part of my policing. Otherwise, how do you zero down on crime-infested areas or crime-vulnerable areas? So much before the technology came, we earlier used to pin them, green, pink, red, pink, etc. We used to do the red, those pins we used to do. Now we do Excel sheets. Now we do advanced Excel, etc., and do the analysis accordingly. So I think it's a search. It's a point of search. It's very, very important that we use data analysis and feed the data accordingly, and of course take the help of. So NIC was supporting National Information Center of the MeitY Department in Government of India, was part and parcel of our management. It helped me a lot to focus on where must I pay greater attention.
Thank you, ma'am. This is a question from Mr. Gurprasad Srinivasan, and his question is: Hello, ma'am. Great to listen to you. Listening to you. During your career in police, you would have come across various leaders. They would have been different from each other. How did you adapt to the new bosses and new team, and what were your preparations? Thank you, Gurprasad.
It took me time because from northern culture to southern culture, and not knowing Tamil, it took me time. But I had very good support system from my secretariat. So I immediately created a very great support team as soon as possible and had an interpreter with me always. But remember, love knows no language. Direct contact, being on the spot, has no language bars because you see the issue. It speaks for itself. Like, for instance, the water harvesting was speaking for itself. I didn't need to be told in Tamil that the irrigation canals were all choked up and they needed to be cleaned up. Otherwise, water harvesting will not happen. I didn't need a language for that. I needed to be on the spot. I didn't ask for paper reports. So best way is, wherever you have such barrier, go and reach out, be more field oriented and take somebody to interpret for you. So you will be able to connect much better. Seeing is a direct connection. Hearing and understanding and feeling is a direct connection. I think add feeling to your work. You will understand it better. You'll deliver better. Add feeling, not just intellect, just not paper writing, not paper reports. Add heart and soul to your work. You start feeling and you'll start getting much more feedback, much qualitative feedback. But be field oriented.
Good. This is the question with reference to what you were making your initial remarks, ma'am. And this is a question from Mr. Varun Chaturvedi. Ma'am, since you mentioned about freebies, do you feel there should be a clear boundary between freebies and social welfare schemes? Thank you, Varun.
Absolutely. I think what is important is the social welfare scheme which is required, the social development. It's not social welfare. It's called social development. So social development, be a part of you, be a part and parcel, certainly is required, because all sections of society are not equal. There are inequalities in our society. So each section of need, women may need something differently, children may need something differently, senior citizens may need something differently, the youth will need something differently. But the point is not, but let's plan that in advance, strategize it, have it in consultation, and then go in, factor them in your planning, and then budget it and declare where will the money come from. Where will the money come from? Because you can't rob the Peter and pay Paul. That's not nothing. You can't have rob and Peter, rob and pay. No, earn and pay, generate and pay, cultivate and pay, understand it also. So don't rob Peter, pay Paul. No, that is what is the problem. Both Peter and Paul need to be served in their own ways. So therefore, plan, strategize, identify, and then and consultation and budget, and find out and declare where will the money come from, whose money is coming, who's paying, for what. So all this needs an explanation. This is not at the drop of the hat you announce. Diwali, okay, Plana, okay, festival, where's the money? Plan it. But we know festivals are coming. Plan it. Why not? Why not plan it? And why enhance it? But of course, there's a contingency fund for a crisis. Why not? COVID was a crisis. You had to find the money, but that's not a freebie. That's an essential expenditure to save life. So consumption must be replaced by development, which will be long-term. Consumption is I eat now, I finish by tomorrow. But development is I eat now, but I also contribute as a part of development to generate more for another.
This is a question from Mr. Aditya Razdan, ma'am. And his question is, dear ma'am, you're a hero to millions of people, but who has been your hero and inspiration across all these years? Thank you, Aditya.
My heroes are all achievers, gallant, courageous readers, authors, artists, leaders. Oh God, documentary films, books, I draw articles. I read the Speaking Tree daily in Times of India. I don't miss it. Mr. Sri Krishna, you'll be thrilled to know I can't do without your Speaking Tree column in the Economic Times as well as in Times of India. I draw a lot of inspiration and I preserve the Speaking Tree as a part of my library, whichever has ideas for me. So I look for inspiration every day from all sources, whether it's print, whether it's media, whether it's live, whether it's hearing. So it's all windows open to give me ideas and inspiration.
Absolutely. This is the question from Sarita Srivastava, ma'am, and I won't say a big one, but yeah, quite a long one. Her question is, hi, ma'am, as you mentioned, we need to focus and do our work and put our efforts. But in the corporate world, what we are facing is the efforts are not acknowledged. Rather, looking at the age and the times our management says you've got a lot of time, a lot more time to grow and pushed us back. Can you please suggest how we deal with such a situation and motivate ourselves? Thank you, Sarita.
The work should not be acknowledgement hitched. Work is work. Go and give it your best. Do you acknowledge your work, which is well done? Ask your own conscience. If it is, don't worry. Don't link yourself. Hitch your performance with acknowledgement. That's your problem. Hitch your work with your internal performance. If you've given it your best, keep working. It will remain acknowledged silently sometimes. If not openly, silently, maybe by the peers. But don't link it with whether I got an award or not. Just continue to serve because that's the purpose of your work. That's the why of your work. So just give it all your best.
And Sarita, you must have got amazing response from Dr. Kiran Bedi. Now, this is a question from Pranjal Gupta, Dr. Kiran Bedi. And his question is, hello, ma'am. Thanks for sharing your illustrious journey with us. You must also have come across with setbacks and encountered controversies in your journey. Please shed some light on how you dealt with setbacks and came out more stronger. I believe learning from failures teaches you more than success, and your insights will be of great help. Thank you, Pranjal.
It depends on how you define a failure. I don't define a failure. The failure is a no effort made at all. Failure is lethargy. Failure is laziness. Failure is fear. Failure is cowardice. If you dare to do whatever you needed to do, and you did not get that walk away with that trophy, it's not a failure. It's an effort. Failure would have been only sitting in the gallery and only clapping and not playing the game yourself. Go play. Go play. Don't worry about loss or gain. But how will you win if you don't dare to play?
This is the question from Mr. Prashant Gantala, ma'am, and his question is: in your career, which of the initiatives you felt is very challenging and it's going nowhere? People won't change and felt like giving up. How do you motivate yourself in all such situations to keep going?
To recharge the morning hour. The first and a half hour of the day is a very important recharge. That's a recharge. Just as we recharge our iPhones, you need to recharge your brains and souls and spirit. Recharge by listening to some very good YouTube discourses as well. So when you brush your teeth or you're having a bath or you have walk time, you're walking in evening, listen to some of the very good discourses on YouTube. Go to those speakers and listen. They will recharge.
Ma'am, we are hitting almost 7:10 now, and with your permission, maybe can I take maybe 3, 4, or 5 questions, if that's okay, ma'am, with you?
I'm okay. Go ahead.
Very good. And this is the question from Mr. Vishal Bansal. his question is, respected ma'am, I would like to ask, are there any government initiatives where I can directly work on real problems of government so that, so that they can do while doing our job and also contribute simultaneously on weekends? Where I can create some positive impact for society as well? Thank you, Vishal.
Be a part of society groups, citizens group. There's so many good NGOs these days. There's so many citizens group involved in the good work. Find out area of your interest. You are interested in healthcare, education, security, agriculture, nature, environment, water. Depends on you. Children. Find out there are very good groups around. Go where your heart takes you and volunteer time. Volunteering, giving your time is nourishing yourself.
And this is the question from Mr. Tarun Verma. It's interesting one, very simple one. Ma'am, how would you want world should remember you? What is your unfulfilled task? How do you want the world to remember you, ma'am? That is Tarun's question for you.
Probably it's coming as a surprise. But how do I? I haven't given it a thought. How would I be remembered? I don't know that. I don't know. I haven't given it a thought. But I think, well, it's okay. I don't know. Let me give it a thought and write my own epithet.
And another question from
but
him.
History is history. You'll not be able to obliterate the certain aspects of history. So history is already written. I didn't write it. It happened. But how would I like to be remembered? I'm leaving 2 foundations behind, by the way, Dr. Chaudhary. The 2 foundations, Navjyoti India Foundation, India Vision. I trust because they've got good infrastructure. They can carry forward prison reforms. They can carry forward upskilling. They can carry forward with marginalized sections of society as long as they're worthy. I will be leaving 2 strong foundations behind which carry forward service to the marginalized sections of society. This is one. But I've written all my books. My policing is written in my book, I Dare. My prisons work is written in my book, It's Always Possible. And my governorship work is written now in the book, Fearless Governance, right? I am now on the anvil to write my NGO work. So I'm now looking at how do I document my NGO work. So that would take me another year and a half because writing means uninterrupted time. So I'm now, only thing which is left to be written is my NGO work, which will take me next 2 years of grassroots work. So the books will now read, by the way, the film is already ready. The film is already there. The Yes, Madam, Sir documentary is a legacy. So I think on their own, this has happened, but I haven't deliberated. I've just written for the love of writing, just love of writing. But I think this will be a legacy.
Absolutely. This is a question from Mr. Gaurav Singh, ma'am, and his question is, hi, ma'am. First of all, a big salute to you for your contribution to our nation. I'm a big fan of you and lucky to hear you and have your question and answer session. I believe all of us get a chance to serve our nation in their capacity, but a very few become an ideal like you. My question is, what drives you to be so bold that being a first lady IPS officer, you told PMO's vehicle and that with guts and stamina still is intact? What keeps you driving, being so occupied but still so focused? And what is your success mantra for people like us? Thank you, Gaurav.
I think it's a very important source is how you grow up. If you've grown up with very strong habits, strong attitudes, and you continue to nourish them and believe in them, and believe that they are the best for you, why would you just let it be? They are your pillars, they are your strengths. You just ride on them. I am grown up very strongly. I have grown up as a person who happened to be a woman. And I looked at my strengths as a woman. I built on my strengths. And I looked at the strengths of the men. I learned them by playing competitive tennis. You see, sports, early sports in a woman's life leaves her, takes her above everybody else. So I think the kind of level at which I played competitive tennis, I acquired the best of the traits of the woman and the men. Men are known for stamina. Men are known for fearless courageousness. Women are known for care and compassion and also endurance, by the way, also endurance, but also very, very emotional content. So today, the intelligence quotient, emotional quotient, what I've added is the spiritual quotient to it. So I've got the best of the men qualities. I acquired. I didn't got them. I learned them. And I did not know that this is the way it would stand me in good stead. So I have not worked as a woman or a man. I've worked as a person in that position who is equally looking at issues concerning human challenges of men and women. So I think if you grow up equally, if you groom solidly, strongly, you grow up very effectively, and then you're good for men and women. And then you are. I think that's where it gets your strength, is growing androgynously. I think that's my nature, is androgynous management, where you have the best of the andro and the gynae, like Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi had the heart of a woman and the endurance of a man, as it's considered. But when a woman starts playing, when she starts competing, she's developing the same endurance. She's developing decision-making capability. See, so I think it's the way you groom yourself. The credit for that grooming goes back to my upbringing at home. So I think if we groom ourselves well and then believe in what we could, and we believe that they were the right things to do, keep nourishing them. Keep nourishing them. They keep getting stronger and they grow with you. So it's a lot of attitudes and habits you grow up with, or you acquire as you grow.
And we are, with your permission, I think, ma'am, I'll take maybe two more questions, and there is two small questions. One is from Mr. Ajay Ramdev, and his question is, what do you think about resilience? Should leaders be resilient?
There is no leadership without resilience, because life is not a flat line. It will go up and down, but that doesn't matter. You don't go up and down. You remain resilient. You should know why you went up and why you came down. Why your organization went up, and you find ways and means of making it bounce back. That's resilience. After all, COVID has taught us resilience. Who survived COVID? Who survived COVID challenges? Which CEO survived COVID challenges? They were resilient. They were compassionate. They were empathetic. They were resourceful. They were hardworking. They were risk-taking. Right? That's resilience all about.
And the last question for today evening, ma'am, with your permission, is from Aditya Raj. And his question is, what are the major tweaks and flaws in the Indian education system that you want to be corrected? Thank you, Aditya.
Our education has not made us proud of our heritage. It's not made us proud of our freedom fighters. It's not made us grateful for what we inherited. It's not made us, it was only told us about it. We are hearing and reading of laws. But last 1 year, Har Ghar Tiranga and unsung heroes has brought back a lot of sense of pride in India. I think this is what was needed all along these 75 years, all along. But unsung heroes have come back into our hearts. Har Ghar Tiranga has come back into our hearts. And the new education policy, I believe, will be correcting all the past deficiencies. Hopefully, if well nurtured, well implemented, you will see newer and better generations coming 10 years from now. 10 years from now. And the skills development. See, skill was never added to the 10th standard. So we created unemployable graduates. But now, if by the 10th standard, they learn hobbies, replace actual skills. They learn a skill, right? And then they're being taught entrepreneurship. That's where they are being trained. How do you innovate? The Atal Innovation Lab. I think lots of things have come in, these innovations, which were very beneficial for the youth. Had these been there and continued for all these years, pride in our inner, and then none of us have been oriented towards Sanskrit. Sanskrit is a heritage. Sanskrit is a culture. Why not read the Vedas directly? Why not read that's a heritage. Why could we not learn it directly? Why not? Why must we read only translations? Why could we not? It's got nothing to do with religion. It's my culture. It's my heritage. It's my ancestry. It is my DNA. I speak the mantras, but I can't read them. Why? Why? Every one of us read our mantras. Every Indian reads the mantras. Recite the mantras. Why can't I read it? Why can't I know that language? It was never done. It never done. So I think that's where we lost out 75 years of our heritage, pride in ourselves. right? And the love for the nation, and the sense of responsibility, and the sense of gratitude. The freedom fighters, I've been doing a regular program with youth on unsung heroes. My program is to children to identify unsung heroes. Each one of them is discovering, why is this bridge named in this name? Why is the college in this name? Why is this road in the name? They did not know. They have now started to explore, and they know, मैम हमें पता ही नहीं था हमारी सड़क का नाम ये कौन है, हम तो उसको abbreviation बोल रहे थे. So this is what education did not. The school assemblies are the PTAs, the parents teachers associations, have not nurtured this. So I think we need to focus on that so that we get another generation. By the time we are 2047, we have a different kind of youth, because we are the youngest youth in this country. Our mean age is just about 28, 27, and Japan is 49. So by the time we are 2047, we will be upper in mean age, but still be a younger generation. So the youth, which is now coming through the next schooling of these next 20 years, is very critical. Do we put in a sense of pride, sense of responsibility, sense of gratitude, a citizenship, our heritage, and a sense of history, and to our freedom fighters? I think we owe it. Do you know, as a prison officer, do you know prisons in India all had freedom fighters? They didn't have criminals. All freedom fighters' names, if you're looking for, are all on the columns and records of prisons in India. If you want to know unsung heroes, they're all there. All of them went to prison. Whether there was a 60-year-old young boy or a man or a woman, and they were not doctorates. They were not PhDs. They were not wealthy. They were poor. They were on their own. They sacrificed their lives for us. Are we grateful? Do we remember them? No. So I think every child, we need to link our education system with our heritage. India has got the richest heritage. We must be proud of it, which is becoming proud. Now it's getting to be known. But you see, next 25 years, we must keep repeating Har Ghar Tiranga, freedom fighters, movement, our skills development, our heritage, our civilization, our history. We must know our history. I've worked in the South. Those southern stories are not known to us in the northern books. Southern, the Cholas and the Pallavas and many other culture is not known to us in the north. It's not known. It's very little. When I go back to my own books, it's just one page. They were never discussed. They're never enacted. Our film may need to read. So I think our education needs to be re-education. It's not reform, it's a re-reform. So if we do that, then we will be saving this demographic dividend and preparing a proud nation, skilled, educated, emotionally connected, grateful, giving, responsible citizenship. I think that's what we need in 2047 when we celebrate 100 years of our independence. And that will come through education, teachers, parents, media, newspapers, and these kinds of social media, which constantly reminds us. And that's what's happened. And by the way, the All India Radio has played a wonderful role. I am a regular listening to the All India Radio. It's played a remarkable role this whole of last 1 year. Believe me, Dr. Chaudhary, if you listen to the 8 a.m. and the 8:30 a.m. English and Hindi, it tells you what's going on. It's really telling you. Television debates is telling you 2 sides of the coin, 3 sides of the coin. It gives you ideas, differing ideas. It plays its own role. But the way All India Radio has conducted itself last 1 year is truly reignited Har Ghar Tiranga. Believe me, I'm speaking, they're not listening to me, and I'm not looking for any brownies from them. But I think that's a message we need to tell our youth. Listen to the voice, and you will get inspired. Now there are many other programs which are coming on Swaraj. I think that's another program which will be very useful for the youth of India. So such programs have to be invited through the school assemblies, through PTAs, and through teachers and parents.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's absolute pleasure hosting you, and thank you so much for giving us your Sunday evening. And like Anish said sometime back, I'm sure everybody in this audience would be going back with loads of inspiration. But before I invite Anish for his closing remarks, let me also state that I think what we get to see from you is 2 things. One is, like, people have always said, facts tell and stories sell. I think in your case, I think both the things have been absolutely true to you, the facts as well as the stories. That's one, because the way you have preserved your legacy in the form of either movies or in the form of videos, and most importantly, the documentary, because the most authenticated source of any legacy would be the documentation part of it. That's the most documented version. And especially it's coming from you. And the second one is that what we get to see is, like somebody said it, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. And every time we hear you speak, it comes from so naturally because it's so ingrained in your system. And that's absolutely pleasure. And of course, for everybody else, there are many, many unanswered questions, ma'am. Because of time, we couldn't be taking up all these questions. But even those people whose questions could be answered, they must be going with more unanswered questions in the form of the fact that how do you manage so many multitasking? I mean, absolutely wonderful. And may I invite Anish for his closing remarks, and then we'll have a final wrap up, ma'am. Anish.
No, I'd just like to once again reiterate my gratitude, ma'am, for you to have come and shared your time with us. I know how valuable your time is. And having heard the entire, leadership lecture today, I think I will go back and once again revisit your book, because there is so much additional insight that has come through. And I think I speak for all of us here in the audience, where this is perhaps the best way that we could have spent our Sunday evening, and listening to a life which has truly been well led, and which a life which provides inspiration and leadership for a lot of us who in our own small ways are trying to be leaders, who are trying to do certain things which we believe are in the larger interest of the country and of the society. Thank you so much, ma'am. It has been an amazing inspiration. Much more power to you. And I wish you a fantastic career ahead, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Look forward to hosting you in Bombay very soon. Maybe.
Thank you.
We look forward to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.